Good, happy Wednesday evening, August 4, 2021. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's begin right now. First up, Florida COVID hospitalizations break pandemic record. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
We have breaking news right now on the COVID pandemic. CBS News has confirmed that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin plans to mandate vaccines for all active duty U.S. troops. This, as the CDC warns the United States could see more than 2 million new cases over the next month, fueled by the Delta variant, which now accounts for 93% of all COVID cases. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez reports from hard-hit South Florida.
Florida is setting a pandemic record with more than 12,000 currently hospitalized with COVID-19. The patients are younger too, with half between the ages of 25 and 55. 91% of COVID patients in this hospital are unvaccinated.
I'd imagine when a vaccine started to roll out, you thought that this would be a preventable thing.
Correct, and it has not. And that is what's causing the spread of the virus.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis blamed the media.
You try to fearmonger, you try to do this stuff. And when they'll talk about hospitalizations, our hospitals are open for business.
They are, but they're strained. Memorial Healthcare plans to put off elective procedures to care for COVID patients. The hospital system is also adding an overflow unit of 266 beds just to handle other patients.
Do you see the numbers going down anytime soon?
No, I don't see the numbers going down.
Why is that?
It's just keep increasing, and you thought we would have been okay last week, and this week is even higher. I don't see it.
Florida and Texas lead the nation in new cases. Their governors have pushed back against restrictions, calling them ineffective intrusions.
But if you aren't going to help, at least get out of the way of the people who are trying to do the right thing.
Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas says he now regrets outlawing mask mandates for schools.
Everything has changed now. And yes, in hindsight, I wish that had not become law.
Dozens spoke against a proposed mask mandate in St. Louis.
100% of the people that get COVID in St. Louis County survive. Why would we mandate a cover for our faces?
But a new poll finds 53% of unvaccinated adults believe the vaccine is a bigger risk than COVID itself, which is not supported by any evidence. 28-year-old Tevin Figueroa is among the vaccine hesitant.
Is there a reason why? No, just a personal. This still happens. I'm not too sure. And I keep on seeing like side effects.
For some, the fact that the vaccines have only been approved for emergency use so far has been a sticking point. But the FDA has signaled the Pfizer vaccine could get full approval by the end of the month. Major?
Manuel Bojorquez, thank you.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Andrew Cuomo defiant as New York State assembles and ramps up impeachment probe. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Nora is off tonight. I'm Major Garrett. Tonight, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is holding firm and laying low, with no indication he plans to resign despite numerous confirmed allegations of sexual harassment against him. Whether he stays or goes may not be his call for long. CBS News has learned that some New York lawmakers, including fellow Democrats, are ready to start the process of impeaching Cuomo. And he's got more to worry about than just losing his job. District attorneys in several New York counties have requested materials from the Attorney General's report suggesting Cuomo could face criminal charges. Cuomo is accused of sexually harassing at least 11 women, including staffers and a state trooper. The governor denies all of the allegations, insisting he never touched anyone inappropriately. There is a lot to cover in this fast-moving story. CBS's Nikki Batiste leads us off tonight from New York. Nikki, good evening.
Major, good evening. Those 4 district attorneys are now looking at whether criminal charges against Governor Cuomo are warranted. Legal experts tell us those charges could be forcible touching or sex abuse in the 3rd degree, both misdemeanors. Tonight, Governor Andrew Cuomo is fighting for his political life.
My father used to say, God rest his soul, that politics is an ugly business.
The embattled 3-term governor is flatly rejecting calls from across the political spectrum and his accusers to resign. And New York lawmakers now say they have the votes to impeach. It comes one day after an explosive report by the state attorney general's office concluded that Cuomo sexually harassed at least 11 women, most of whom were current and former New York State employees, by unwelcome touching and suggestive comments. The report details a litany of complaints, including how Cuomo inappropriately touched and kissed a female state trooper he hired into his security detail, even though she didn't meet the required 3 years of experience with the state police. And in a series of other incidents, Cuomo grabbed a woman identified as executive assistant number 1 by her private parts, including the butt and the breast.
Let me be clear, that never happened.
The 63-year-old said his intentions had been misinterpreted and blamed cultural and generational differences.
Putting your hand up a woman's shirt and touching their breast is not generational.
Among Cuomo's accusers is a former aide, Charlotte Bennett. She spoke to Nora O'Donnell about the governor's.
He would rather play dumb. Privately, he knows that he sexually harassed staffers.
Now 4 district attorneys have launched criminal probes, requesting documents from the Attorney General's investigation. Another accuser, Lindsay Boylan, said today she plans to sue for retaliatory actions taken by the governor and top aides to discredit her. But the bar remains high for a criminal prosecution.
When you're looking at proving a criminal case in a court of law, you are looking at the highest possible bar. It is difficult to get to that final level of getting a conviction. And a prosecutor has to take that into consideration.
People familiar with the situation tell CBS News there's an understanding among New York lawmakers that if the governor does not resign by the end of the weekend, they will move quickly to impeach. That process could take about a month. Major?
With the political and legal details, Nikki Batiste, thank you. Here we go.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. American Spirit Airlines cancel hundreds of flights. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
We want to turn now to the chaos that air travelers are facing this summer, from unruly passengers to grounded planes. Thousands have been stranded, with one airline canceling more than half its flights. More now from CBS's Errol Barnett.
Pain from Los Angeles,
horrible experience,
to Atlanta and beyond. Thousands left stranded this week as American and Spirit Airlines canceled hundreds of flights, struggling with staffing and other issues.
I'm stuck here.
Spirit Airlines customers being hit hardest. 60% of its flights canceled today and more than 1,300 since Sunday.
It was actually chaos, really.
Alicia Coverley's Monday flight to Boston was one of them.
7 hours in that line, I was finally able to get help.
Coverley says 2 nights at her Fort Lauderdale hotel cost her more than $300, and the airline cannot get her to Boston, so it booked her on a United Airlines flight home tonight. Today, Spirit apologized to guests and team members for what it said were challenges stemming from weather, system outages, and staffing shortages. Adding to travel frustration, unruly passengers. 22-year-old Maxwell Berry arrested in Miami on Sunday after Frontier Airlines says he made inappropriate physical contact with staff and is seen on this video punching a flight attendant. He had to be restrained in his seat with tape. While in Austin, these American Airlines passengers went to blows before deplaning. The FAA reports more than 3,700 incidents of unruly passengers so far this year, mostly mask-related issues. The agency says it has launched more than 600 investigations as a result, with almost 100 referred for penalties. Now, here in Baltimore, Spirit has canceled more than 80% of its flights and insists those numbers will diminish in the days ahead as it rebuilds its schedule. But customers we've spoken with says communication from the airline has been poor. And apparently it still needs to be said, Major, masks are still required on aircraft and at airports across the country.
Errol Barnett with that helpful reminder. Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's switch gears now and let's go into weather. Let's take a look at the weather for tonight across the United States. In Boston, 64 degrees. New York, 66 degrees. Washington, D.C., 63 degrees. Charlotte, 66 degrees. Atlanta, 67 degrees. New Orleans, 76 degrees. Jacksonville, 74 degrees. Tampa, 75 degrees. And Miami, 79 degrees. Houston, 78 degrees. And Dallas, 74 degrees. Phoenix, 87 degrees. Los Angeles, 66 degrees. And Las Vegas, 86 degrees. And San Francisco, 58 degrees. That is a look at the weather across the United States for this Wednesday evening. And thank you for joining us for this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great evening and see you back here tomorrow with more news coverage. Good night and goodbye, everyone.